Viewers, assalamu alaikum. I am Abdul Rafi, welcoming you to a digital class run by Rangpur Jilla School, and I am going to give you an important class on narration, and this is part 2. So in this class today I am going to talk about some changes that happen while we are doing indirect one. So the changes are the change of inverted comma and of course the change of reporting verb. These happen outside the reported speech, and for your kind information, these changes vary from sentence to sentence. That means these changes are not as fixed as the previous ones that I have already talked to you, and these are change of verbs, change of persons, and change of other words. So for your kind information, these changes happen at reported speech. So let's move on for finding the changes of inverted comma and reporting verb. Okay, look, we are going to look at some examples from assertive sentences. So look at the reported speech. So this is an assertive one and this is an indirect one. The reporting verb is replaced by the word told. And what about inverted comma? It is replaced by the conjunction that. And the direct one can be made indirect one in another way, and it is the man said to her that he would do the work the next day. Where lies the difference? The difference is the reporting verb is kept unchanged. Okay, so for your kind information, while you are working with assertive sentence in doing indirect ones, you can keep the reporting verb unchanged, but it is better to change if the reporting verb is followed by an object and it is her here. The next examples from interrogative sentences. So look at the sentences, that means reported speech, and it starts with what? WH word, and the indirect one is. So what about the reporting verb? It is replaced by asked. Okay, next inverted comma is replaced by the conjunction here. It is why, because the interrogative sentence starts with WH word, why. Next example, look at the reported speech. The reported speech is not like the previous one because the reported speech has started with helping verb are. So the same thing happens with the reporting verb replaced by asked, and inverted comma is replaced by the conjunction if, because the reported speech starts with helping verb like are. So let's move on to look at see what is waiting for us, and the examples are from optative sentences that starts with may. The indirect one. So mother said to her son, may you improve in life, and of course mother is praying for her son. So because of this, the reporting verb is replaced by prayed, and inverted comma is replaced by the conjunction that. Okay, then the next example, he said to me, may you have a safe journey, and this is indirect one. So the reporting verb is replaced by the word wished, and the inverted comma is replaced by the word that. as it is told earlier. And for your kind information, I advise not to use any object after the word prayed and wished, because sometimes you may be misguided because of wrong use of preposition. So stop writing object after the word prayed and wished. Okay, so now the examples from exclamatory sentence. Look, this is indirect one. The reporting verb is replaced by the word exclaimed, and look at the phrase just comes after the word exclaimed, with sorrow, and this is because of this one, alas, because this word expresses some sort of sadness, and this emotion is reflected in the indirect one with the phrase with sorrow. Okay, let's move on. 4 inverted comma, and which is replaced by the word that. Next example, this one start with hurrah, which is the sign of happiness. The reporting verb is replaced by said. The reporting verb is replaced by exclaimed, and again it is followed by a phrase with joy because of the word hurrah, which is an expression of happiness. Now look at the inverted comma, it is replaced by the conjunction that. Now go ahead, and again we're going to look at some examples from exclamatory sentence, but these exclamatory sentences are not of the same type. That means the starting is completely different. In our previous one, we have seen the exclamatory sentences have been started with exclamatory word alas or hurrah, but it is started with what? And look at the indirect one. So if you look at the reported speech, you find that there is some sort of happiness, and dress is nice, and of course it is gifted by father. As a result, we find that the reporting verb is replaced by exclaim, and of course followed by a phrase with joy. What about inverted comma? It is replaced by the conjunction that. Next example, how poor the baby is. There is some sort of sadness in the reported speech, so the reporting verb is replaced by exclaim, and because of this sadness, the word is followed by the phrase with sorrow, and of course the inverted comma has been replaced by conjunction that. So what about the next? Keep it in your memory that exclamatory sentences will be transformed into assertive ones before doing indirect ones, when the assertive sentence will start with what and how. Otherwise, you may be confused with finding out the subject and verb while you are doing indirect ones. Okay, so next one. So this is imperative sentence. We are going to look at some examples from imperative sentences that basically starts with verb, and this is indirect one. Reporting verb is replaced by the word advice. Inverted comma is replaced by to, and finally to is followed by the base form of verb that comes from deductive speech and takes an infinitive form. Next example, The imperative sentence starts with please, which is used to say something, to do something. Reporting verb is replaced by requested, and this is because of this word which is used to request somebody to do something. What about inverted comma? Replaced by to, and finally it takes the infinitive form, and the verb comes from the direct one. Next one, mother said to her daughter, do it at once. The indirect one, reporting verb is replaced by the word ordered, and inverted comma is replaced by to, and finally it takes the infinitive form as it is told in the previous examples. One should we are to remember that we are not using the same reporting verb while we are doing indirect ones, and this is because reporting verbs follow the tones of the reported speech. Next one, more on imperative sentences, but this sentence does not start with the same way as it is shown in the earlier slide. It starts with let us or let's, and the indirect one is the boy proposed to her friends that they should arrange a picnic. The reporting verb is replaced by a different word, proposed, and it is because of let us, and because of this word let us or the phrase let us or let's, reporting verb is replaced by the word proposed. One thing is important, that only this word takes the preposition. We have not seen this thing in our previous indirect speeches, so keep it in your memory. The inverted comma is replaced by the conjunction that, like the assertive ones. And look at the sentence structure. They should arrange a picnic. That means if the imperative sentence starts with let us or let's, then the subject they must be followed by the word should. Next example, this also starts with let, but not let us. That means let is followed by her here, not us. So indirect one is he told me that she might be allowed to do it alone. The reporting verb is replaced by the word told because of let her. Okay. Next one, that if you look at the sentence, the verb is followed by a phrase might be allowed to, and this is because the reported speech is not started with let us, or the let is not followed by us. So when the word let will be followed by her, me, him, them, but not us, the subject will be followed by the phrase might be allowed to. You can also use the word might only. So what about the next? This imperative sentence is a negative one. So what happens in this case? The reporting verb is replaced by the different word, and don't, this phrase should be focused here with this word forbade, which is a negative one, or it expresses a negativity of the sentence, and the inverted comma is replaced by 2 as it is shown in our earlier slide. Finally, it takes the infinitive form like the previous one. And this negative imperative sentence can be done indirect one in another way, and it is Father advised me not to waste my time. So don't waste your time. There is a sense of advice. So the reporting verb is replaced by advised, as the negativity of the sentence is not still reflected. So not is written just before the conjunction to, but in the previous indirect one it is not used, as the word forbade itself is a negative one. Okay, let's move on. Now we are already at the end of the class, and I have shown all types of changes, especially the changes that happen because of reported speech based on different types of sentences, and the changes are shown in the table in brief. So match your changes. Next, another table. So while you are doing the indirect one, so you can keep the table before you, and this table will help you to make the proper change because of types of sentences, that means reported speech. So I think that you have enjoyed the full class, and of course I am going to say you farewell. And before saying, let me say the same slogan: stay home and stay safe. And I hope that you will be safe at home till I am approaching you with the next part of the narration, that is going to deal with passage narration. Until then, Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Thanks very much.